The Mauritian Wildlife Foundation has been in existence since 1984, and our work actually started several years before that. And we've always believed in ecosystems restoration, although much of our earlier work was about saving species of plants, birds, and reptiles. So all that we've done for over 4 decades has been in line with ecosystems restoration. We believe that it is important to restore species, but it is also important to restore habitats, to restore ecosystems, and to restore ecosystem functions. For example, how plants and animals interact with each other and how they also interact with their environment. So we have been following that approach for places such as Round Island, Île aux Aigrettes, in the Black River Gorges National Park, on several other offshore islands, but also in Rodrigues at the Grande Montagne Nature Reserve, Anskitor Nature Reserve, Île aux Coco, Île aux Sables. And we've also now trying to push this model to the St. Brandon Islands, which is a group of over 40 different islands. We've also been trying to encourage the private sector on Mauritius and in Rodrigues to also do so. This is exemplified by the fact that at places where we work, we are restoring native plants, especially critically endangered plants. We are also removing invasive alien plants and animals and putting in their stead native plants and native birds and native reptiles. This is why we have been conserving pink pigeons, echo parakeet, Mauritius kestrels, reptiles, and olive white-eyes, Mauritius phodes, and on Rodrigues, the Rodrigues fruit bat, the Rodrigues warbler, and the Rodrigues foodie, for example. And we've also gone a bit one step further by working with reintroducing seabirds. This is what we've been doing on Île aux Aigrettes, but also protecting seabird populations on offshore islands, because seabirds play a vital role in terms of fertilization of the land. And now the connection of seabirds to improving the coral reefs has been proved. We are showing that through our work on Île aux Aigrettes and through restoring seabird populations on offshore islands, we can actually restore not just terrestrial systems, but can also restore marine ecosystems. So there's actually a linkage between marine and terrestrial ecosystems. But again, going one step further, what do we do when we have lost a species? We have been pioneering a concept called analog species introduction. So we know that tortoises were very important ecosystems engineers in Mauritius and in Rodrigues and on offshore islands. Because we've lost our endemic mascarene tortoises, what we've been doing is to replace those tortoises with an introduced species, the Aldabra giant tortoise. And we've been showing that those tortoises are playing very key roles in terms of ecosystems engineering, in terms of controlling a number of invasive plants, and even regulating native plants, but also dispersal of fleshy fruited fruits that are falling on the ground or that can be picked up from trees by the necks of tortoises. So we are actually trying to do things full circle. And one area which we are also starting to look at now is the importance of snails and insects in the habitat. We know for sure that through our work, we've increased the number of insects in the environment. We also know, for example, that the species which were not known to science have become known to science as a result of our habitat restoration work. This happened at Grande Montagne Nature Reserve in Rodrigues, and there are countless number of insects which could have been restored through our actions without us even realizing the impact of our work. So this is what we're doing now, and this is what we are doing in the immediate, but we would like to take this work forward. Restoring ecosystems is going to be a a battle for the next decades. We've even been thinking about a vision of 100 years. But whilst we try to restore ecosystems, we should also try to prevent them from further degradation by invasive alien species, whether those that are already present in the ecosystems, but also prevent the arrival of new invasive plants and animals. And that is where we also act at the level of policy. We also would like to safeguard places of ecosystems importance from destructive human activities. For example, construction, for example, deer ranching and rearing of pigs, for example, and all those many activities which are conducted in protected areas and in ecosystems, such as high-end housing and so on, and golf courses, and many development projects which unfortunately are going to be against the principles of ecosystems restoration. So we're also trying to act at those levels at the same time. So our work is actually cut out for us for the next decades when we are talking about ecosystems restoration. And we are very happy to join the United Nations in this decade of ecosystems restoration. And this for us is just a first step, because we know for sure that there will be decades more of work involved in saving and restoring ecosystems of Mauritius and Rodrigues and the larger Republic of Mauritius.